On May 24th, 2023, Bungie announced a new marathon game along with a trailer. I have two primary goals for this video. One is to help players who are new to the marathon universe better understand what this game will be and what they missed out on in the original marathon games. The second goal is to help fans of the original marathon games understand what we know about this game and how it ties into the original games. Many fans of the original games probably watched this trailer and felt like the new game doesn't feel very much like Marathon, and hopefully after this video, you'll better understand things. To give new players some background, the original Marathon trilogy consisted of Marathon, Marathon 2 Durandal, and Marathon Infinity, with all of them coming out in 1994, 1995, and 1996 respectively. Marathon is a sci-fi shooter that primarily came out on the Mac. Think Doom on the Mac. There is one huge difference between Marathon and Doom, and that is the insanely deep plot that exists. Halo fans who play Marathon for the first time will realize how much of what is in Halo today was built on from Marathon. The basic plot of the Marathon game consists of the players being led by the Marathon ship's AIs as the player fights off an invading alien species called the Four. The Marathon ship was in orbit around the planet Tau Ceti, helping start a civilization on the planet when the invasion began. In the new Marathon games, we will be learning more about the aftermath of these events on the Marathon and on the planet below. I'm currently creating videos for an in-depth playthrough on Marathon on my channel, and I recommend checking that out if you want to discover all the ins and outs of the original Marathon trilogy. You won't be disappointed to learn just how deep the rabbit hole goes. The new Marathon game will be an extraction shooter. This genre seems to be the new big thing after battle royales. In an extraction shooter, you are put in a large map with a myriad of other players and are left to fend for yourself. At this point, it looks like a crew in Marathon can consist of up to 3 players across multiple platforms. The goal in an extraction shooter is to collect some loot, complete some quests, and then get out alive. In some extraction shooters, when you die, you lose the weapons and other items you are carrying permanently. We will see exactly how Bungie goes about the specific mechanics, but they did indicate that you will be able to get upgrades and customization options for your character. In this game, players play as a runner who is exploring a massive ghost ship along with a nearby colony on the planet Tau Ceti. Runners utilize clone technology to allow themselves to reliably shift their consciousness from their born body to a new synthetic body and back again. Thus, if you die, there is a gameplay explanation of how you are able to play again. Part of the goal in this game will be able to learn what happened to the ghost ship and to the Tau Ceti colony, although you already partly know the truth if you played the original Marathon games. Extraction shooters are in general a new breed, and they are quite popular at the moment, but there really hasn't been a successful extraction shooter by a AAA developer yet. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. This is a bit of a risky move, as the game won't have a campaign like the original Marathon games. Thinking about it more though, I think being a little risky and unique is a smart move. A lot of sequels end up failing because developers don't take risks and do something new and exciting. Bungie has a huge opportunity with this game to be in the forefront in developing this new genre. Speaking of innovative, the graphics for the new Marathon game is very unique compared to the original Marathon games. The new art style could make fans of the original art feel a bit off. Curious as to why Bungie decided to go with this art style, I asked Joseph Cross, the franchise art director for Marathon, on Twitter about the art used in the game compared to the classic Marathon games. Here's what he told me. We call the art style graphic realism. On one side is a simplified deconstruction design language, strong graphic design and color statement, and limited materials. On the other side, it's about realistic proportions and scale, implied functional detail, and a generally grounded world. We're really focused on creating a visual brand of science fiction visual design that hopefully feels fresh and can stand the test of time. Giving ourselves freedom and limitation through a defined set of constraints will hopefully help us get there. Reading between the lines, it sounds like one big reason Bungie chose to use this art style is that it will look good for a very long time. A purely realistic art style will quickly get out of date as graphics continue to quickly improve. Now, before we get into more details about the trailer, there was actually a wealth of knowledge that Bungie released along with the trailer that casual fans will completely miss. At the same time as the trailer, Bungie orchestrated an alternate reality game, or ARG, at the same time as the trailer. Think of this as a sort of online scavenger hunt. The trailer contained a QR code and screen flashes with additional clues. There were additional clues on various Bungie Twitter accounts, including a temporary Twitter account that has since been deleted. The ARG led to the discovery of several websites that would reveal several sources of lore for the new Marathon game. Additionally, it led to a stream that when 7,777 viewers joined, resulted in the release of a vid doc on the new Marathon game. The vid doc is a short video from the developers talking about their new game. I would highly recommend checking that out if you haven't. The information resulting from the ARG is massive and will take a while before it is made in an easily accessible format to the general community. To give you a brief summary of the results from the ARG, we got documents from a few different sources. There is a full list of everything that was found during the ARG event that you can find in the linked document in the description. First, we have Troxus Global, also known as Troxus Off-Road Industries. The temporary Troxus Global website described their purpose. We build worlds. At Troxus Global, we build the infrastructure that connects humanity. From our humble beginnings on Earth's native soil to our adopted homes on Luna, Mars, in between, and beyond, Troxus Global strives to create and uplift communities while innovating in the fields of infrastructure development and resource management, building today's towards tomorrow. Troxus Global revealed a series of chat messages that contained additional lore. Troxus was the name of an AI that was briefly mentioned in the original Marathon games. Next, we have Sekiguchi Genetics. This is a Japanese company that is creating clone runners in the Marathon universe. Their temporary website had some additional information in Japanese and also a series of emails written to a user by the name of Yoshi Tamura. Next, we have the UESC, or Unified Earth Space Security Council. You could basically see them as the big government of all the nations. The ARG discovered a series of PDF documents from the UESC and also 4 short evidence video files. Lastly, we have the MIDA, which is basically the average Joe colonist who are rebelling against the governing authorities. The ARG led Marathon fans to graffiti on a concrete structure at Venice Beach in California and a series of images containing MIDA propaganda. The art at Venice Beach has since been painted over by the UESC, it seems. With this information, we can glean a little bit about the different groups that will be fighting for information on what happened to the ship and the colony at Tau Ceti. The Marathon trailer shows what appears to be a Sekiguchi genetic creating clones using silkworms. Based on the documents found from the ARG, this is an S-series clone and is a brand new technology. The logo on the clone being created is from Troxus Global. This fits the email and chat messages from the ARG event, where Troxus is paying Sekiguchi Genetics for some clones. Of course, the ARG files also suggest that Sekiguchi Genetics is worried about Troxus stealing their silkworm technology that allowed them to create these clones, so it's possible these clones were being made by Troxus. The trailer follows a runner for the UESC running through what appears to be the Marathon spaceship. Or is he in the colony on Tau Ceti? After running out in the open, the runner is shot by a sniper who is working for Troxus. The dead runner bleeds blue blood from their synthetic clone body. One of the Troxus runners pulls something of value from the dead runner's body. This gives a glimpse of what players will be able to do in the final game. A couple of interesting things to note is that the trailer does in fact show a computer terminal. In the original Marathon games, players would read computer terminals from the Marathon ship AI that would tell the stories of the game. It seems that there will be terminals in the new Marathon game also. Additionally, there's this FIT compiler shown in the video. This is one of the alien species that players fought against in the original Bungie games. This seems to imply that there will be some non-playable enemies within the final game that players will run across. I would bet that players will run into the floor also, but that is yet to be seen. Players of the original games will ask themselves why the Marathon looks so much different from the original Marathon games. It looks like the center portion of the marathon was destroyed and a new ship was built inside. What exactly happened here? We will have to play the game to see. There was definitely other interesting things in the trailer, but what exactly some of it means probably won't be known until the game is released. Bungie's website for the marathon game tells us that we will encounter a long dormant AI. There are a couple of possibilities here. Could this possibly be Leela? At the start of the first marathon game, Leela helps the player get their journey started before being overtaken by the invading aliens. In Marathon 2, we are told that Leela was dismantled and shipped to the Fort Homeworld. Interestingly though, Leela is barely mentioned at all in the Marathon Infinity. This is important because Marathon Infinity retconned a lot of the events that happened in Marathon 2. You see, Marathon Infinity has some sort of time travel-like thing going on. This means Leela being shipped to the Fort Homeworld could easily have been undone in Marathon Infinity. In this scenario, she would be the only possible AI remaining dormant on the Marathon. Of course, the dormant AI could also be from the Marathon colony itself. In fact, the documents found from the ARG scavenger hunt tells us that there were in fact 8 AIs originally in the Tau Ceti colony. This leaves us a lot of possible AIs to meet. Then again, we could also meet a Yarrow AI. The Yarrow were in fact at Tau Ceti as we learn in the original Marathon trilogy. For new players, the Yarrow are basically a super advanced alien race that we never run across, but they have ancient and far superior technology that was left behind on several planets. I am certain that we will run across some Yarrow technology in the new Marathon game. Moving on, I just wanted to point out that fans have some reasons to be confident in the new Bungie staff working on Marathon. Christopher Barrett is the main game director for the new Marathon game. While Christopher did not work on the original Marathon trilogy, he has been with Bungie since Halo and also helped by contractor with Myth 2. Those who don't know, Myth of Fallen Lords and Myth 2 Sliblighter were produced by Bungie a few years before Marathon. On Twitter, Chris told me that Myth is the reason that he joined Bungie. In fact, Myth the Fallen Lords is on Mr. Bear's top 10 list of games. Here is what Chris said in a PlayStation blog post about the game. Finding the right balance is one of the most fun parts of development. We have a tremendous amount of respect for the original Marathon games, and from the very start, we wanted to honor that, especially the mythology, story, and themes of the world. At the same time, our vision for this game is something new. It's not a direct sequel to the originals, but something that certainly belongs in the same universe and that feels like a Bungie game. Finding those opportunities to nod to the universe's lore while also getting to build something different and new has been one of the best parts of developing this game so far. It's our aim to create something incredible, both for players who are completely new to the Marathon world and for those who have been waiting years for more stories in the Marathon universe. You don't need to know anything about Marathon to understand or play this game. But if you do, we're making the experience with references and deep cuts you'll recognize. One thing that might be concerning to fans of the original Marathon game is that none of the people that we know of on the Bungie staff have worked on the original game, and the plot is quite confusing in those games. Would it ease you though if I told you that an unknown individual who wrote the script for the original Marathon games is in fact helping Bungie with a script for the new Marathon game? Hamish Sinclair maintains the website called marathon.bungie.org. He has been doing so since shortly after the first Marathon game was released. He slipped in one of his posts that one of the writers on the Bungie staff worked on the original Marathon games. Whom could that be? Could it be possible that Greg Kirkpatrick returned from his long retirement from video game development? After all, Jason Jones, Bungie's co-founder who still works at Bungie, had said back in February of 1994 that if Marathon was going to have a story, it would have to be written by Greg Kirkpatrick. Greg was involved in writing the script for all 3 of the Marathon games. Of course, there were other script writers that could also be helping Bungie at this time. Well, that's it for this video. Are you excited for the new Marathon game? What did you learn about the Marathon announcement that you were unaware of before? Let me know in the comments.